Darren, thank you very much for that. And we can speak now to journalist and Middle East expert Nabila Ramdani, who joins us from Westminster. And Nabila, it was 3 years ago we saw the overthrow of Colonel Gaddafi, the dictator. There were scenes of jubilation, all part of the Arab Spring. Hopes were high. What went wrong?
Well, you know, clearly Britain played a very important role in getting rid of Colonel Gaddafi, and anybody who believes in democracy and indeed human rights would welcome Gaddafi's demise. But the situation at the moment also testifies that not a lot of thought had been put in what would come next. And this, you know, clearly signalled by the evacuation today of British nationals and indeed the effective shutting down of the British embassy in Tripoli. And what we are learning about foreign intervention is that it's very, very easy to bomb and indeed destroy perceived enemies, but it's almost impossible to ensure stability afterwards. And the situation in Libya is very much exemplifies that. And I was in Libya at the start of the revolution, and I very well recall, you know, British businesses investing heavily before the revolution, even at the time, you know, into the country. Hotels were being built, and you know, Western infrastructure was taking shape. And more crucially, Libya's vast oil and gas reserves were being exploited for the good, and notably into educating a sizable class of professionals and other engineers and indeed energy workers. But today, Libya is very different. We have militias, rival militias, fighting for wealth, power and indeed influence. And the situation is getting worse every day. We have gangs stalking the roads. Energy and water supplies are regularly interrupted. Hundreds of ordinary Libyans are caught in the infighting between militias, and foreigners are regularly targeted, and that includes Western diplomats and indeed energy workers.
What can be done to stop this spiral of violence, do you think?
Well, clearly, David Cameron has, at the time, had used, you know, what he called the liberation of Libya to gain an awful lot of political capital. And he even visited Libya, presented himself as a liberator, effectively, and bolstered, and he used Gaddafi's demise to bolster his reputation as somebody who was at the forefront for the fight of democracy and indeed human rights. But he doesn't seem to be much interested in what's going on at the moment, and his silence is very notable. I think David Cameron should put as much enthusiasm into building viable political institutions in Libya, and indeed guarantee a safe and secure Libya now, as he did in 2011.
Nabila Ramdani, thank you very much for talking to Sky News.